Hello again, here with Otis. Today we're going to do a shorter one, but Otis is going to give us 5 good tips for playing bass guitar.
So yeah, these are practice tips. So we had to talk about, talking about some practice tips. I've got a few things here. The first one is learn your keys and even up your keys. And one way of doing that is using your dead time. So for example, when I'm at work, when I get to work and get my guitar out and my bass out, whatever, and get my bags, and have to walk from there to where I'm working, it's about a 7-minute walk in all weathers with a load of heavy bags full of books and stuff. And I would practice running all my keys in my head. And I would have 7 questions. So the questions would be, what sharps and flats are in the key? What's the major key? What's the relative minor? What are the notes of the major scale? What are the notes of the triad, the major 7 chord, and then the leading note of the relative minor. And I'd run that through C major, then the 7 sharp keys in order, then the 7 flat keys in order. And various other things. I'll demonstrate that in another video. And then, of course, when you're practicing, run everything through the cycle of fifths as well. So you're practicing things in all the keys. So you're evening up the keys. Particularly useful if you're playing with horn players who often getting flat keys and stuff as a bass guitarist. Any questions on that one?
All right, so it's like more music preparation, not actually at the coalface of playing the bass. You're thinking about at the moment.
Well, it all comes onto the bass later, of course. I'll demonstrate it, and I've got another video I want to show all that.
Okay,
stuff.
right.
So that's in the list as well. So I'll demonstrate that elsewhere. But the second thing is to bring in things into your practice from other disciplines. I mean, yes, we went out last night, and he said to me, "Do you like reading?" I'm like, have you met me? It's like, which was kind of fun. We're always talking about books, which was kind of fun after all these years. But there's a few other disciplines that have led to some really good ideas for practice tips. Duncan Fletcher was the England cricket coach for a few years.
From Zimbabwe?
That's right. Well, in fact, he wrote a couple of books on his time coaching. And one of the things he talked about, I think he was captain of the Zimbabwe team in the World Cup when they came to England.
83,
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right. And they had a couple of
Graham Hick, I think, played on that tour.
Right, okay, wow.
Flower Brothers?
Just
off the top of my head.
I mean, Graham Hick's book was very good, actually. But now, one of the things he talked about was they realised they weren't necessarily going to be the best bowling team at the World Cup, and they weren't going to be the best batting team at the World Cup, but they might end up being the best fielding team and the fittest team. So they worked like hell on fielding and fitness, and then I think they had a couple of shock wins at that World Cup, But I just like those kind of discipline. I like the idea of that, if you work like hell on your reading, well, maybe there's work there. There's various things you can make strong. You might not, we're not all blessed with the greatest ear, but you might be very good at other things. You might know more repertoire than somebody else, So just bring it, and then the other thing was chess. We played a bit of chess, and your mate last night, Sean, plays some chess. We were talking about chess.
I like chess. I haven't done any work on it, so I'm no chess player.
Well, I'm no chess player either, but I do like it, and I do like to study it sometimes. But in chess, a lot of it is learning patterns. So if a grandmaster looks at a position, he can go, "Oh yeah, mate and 6 or whatever," because they recognise the pattern. It's jumping off the board at them. Whereas we're all sitting there for 20 minutes going, "Ugh." So just this idea that the more patterns you know, you start, it's like learning to play by ear. You start to chunk whole phrases, and it's like, oh yeah, that's that phrase from so-and-so, and then the whole phrase can be played. So that's the second thing, which is to bring in ideas from other disciplines. Have you got anything like that? Any other disciplines that help you with your playing?
I've read a load of books about Bruce Lee. I'm trying to think of it. All I can think of is you can't swim without getting wet.
I think musicians have used this one before, but there's that one. I'm not frightened of a man who's practiced 10,000 kicks. I'm frightened of a man who's practiced 1 kick 10,000 times, which is great for musicians because, of course, repetition and practicing the core skills is a big part of it. The next one, and I think this came again from Jaco, in that book that we showed in the last video. In his instructional video, he talks about how important it is the bass player learns the melody. And I think that's very true. It's a lot easier to hear the changes in your head if you're busking a tune by ear or something, or trying to remember some changes that you probably should remember. If you know the melody, it's a lot easier to pick that out, you know?
Quite often Paul Chambers and Ray Brown will quote the melody in their solo, so they obviously know it, you know, so...
I also thought, I mean, you know, not for everybody, but learning the lyrics as well, learning to sing the song can be very helpful, you know?
Yeah, Oscar Pettiford definitely knows loads of melodies, and you can really hear that in the way he plays.
Right, well, absolutely, blimey. He sent me some great cello stuff. Now, the next little suggestion, he says walking off camera, possibly controversial for some, but there you go. I love playing this beautiful thing. I love it. I've got an ancient Antoria, one of these upstairs, that's like hanging in bits, but I love that one too. But if I bring this one around instead, apologies to some who find this horrific. Here's my ancient battered Strat, which I think we worked out has been played about 30,000 hours or something ridiculous. So my next tip for bass players, possibly controversial for some, is to learn some guitar. Both of the guys that taught me at college, in fact all three of the guys that taught me, played some guitar as well. You know, so you'd be having a listen and they get their guitar. Now, I'm not saying they were fantastic guitar players or whatever, they were fantastic bass players, but they sit there comping some chords while you were practicing whatever it is they were showing you. Yeah. So, you know, again, it's good for hearing the harmony and learning the harmony.
Well, I know Christian McBride plays pretty good piano, and definitely think piano or guitar, you know, are good. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's was it the Keith Jarrett trio? They're all pianists. Gary Peacock and Jack DeJohnette.
I know Jack DeJohnette definitely.
Right,
Is, yeah,
well,
about,
his band. I mean, his band made some nice records. I think John Crawford introduced me to Jack DeJohnette's band back in the day. Yeah, some good records there. So yeah, learn some guitars. The next one, practice tips. Now the last one I've got on here, which I think is very important and underrated, is to work very hard on your rhythm reading, which can, you know, for a lot of people that can be really trip them up when it comes to getting work. I talked in previous videos about the Louis Bellson books. In fact, let's just pull them out here. So Louis Bellson, we've got the modern reading text in 4/4 time and the odd time reading text. Now the beauty of these books is it isolates the issue. This is 100 pages of one note, which is E on the bass clef. You can hum it, you can click it with your teeth, or your tongue, whatever. Tap your foot, clap your hands, play it on the bass or whatever, or with a drumstick, whatever. I mean, these are drum books, really, snare drum books, but work on your rhythm reading, you know? That would be my last big tip, because, I mean, the number of times, let's say I have a student and they've got themselves doing a show and they'll be, I don't know, Fame or something, there'll be like one or two charts that look like a Jamerson part and they're coming in panicking because they can't read the rhythms, whatever. Work on your rhythm reading. The Jamerson's another great book for working on your rhythm reading, as is it Oscar Stagnaro, the Latin bass book, which is I think it's a triple CD book full of every possible Latin style you can think of, and it's just transcriptions of his playing, and again, it's fantastic for your reading. So last tip, work very hard on your rhythm reading, and thanks for watching, folks, and if you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing.
See you later.
See you next time.
Cheers.